certain markets, open houses can be a huge tool for success in this business. And I can tell you from personal experience, because believe it or not, I still do a couple open houses a year. I'm seeing some different trends take place in open house activity, which of course I'm going to share with you today, what I'm seeing. Leads, once we have the leads, how do we convert our buyers, how do we get them to convince them to stay with us, and so forth. So I'll be walking you essentially from start to finish, what is it taking to succeed in an open house today. What's interesting about this topic is, you know, open houses has been around probably since real estate agents have been around. It is probably one of the oldest traditions, if you will, in the business, and the way we do them, however, has evolved. And so the reason why the way we do them has evolved is because of technology, because of marketing that's available to us, because of the way the consumers behave. So what's interesting about this particular topic is what I'm going to share today is not like my notes from, well, I got in the business in 03. So these aren't my notes from 03, these are my notes from 2019 because, and by the way, almost once a year I do a class like this because every year something about open houses changes. Either in the way we get them there, the way we convert, the way we follow up, and so forth. So what I'm sharing with you today is essentially two things. Number one, it's the years of experience of doing them, plus, again, like I said, I still do a few per year just so I can stay sharp. But it's also some of our top agents that I've interviewed and asked them questions. Okay, what are you doing today that you weren't doing a year ago to have the success that you're having with open houses? And so you're going to get a combination of information that I've gathered from other top agents that are having success at open houses, and also information on things that I've been doing for years, of course, with open houses as well. So before I jump in, I want to make sure you know, because we had two questions. One on, there's two big events coming up that you need to know of. All right, the June 4th event at the Detroit Athletic Club is the only half-day session we are doing in Metro Detroit this year. So if for those that have been with us for a while or have been following us for a while, you know I usually do one in Livonia and one in Sterling Heights. We decided to combine them and put it in downtown Detroit. So that is June 4th at the DAC, the Detroit Athletic Club. That's a half-day session. It's $15, maybe $16 after the Eventbrite fees, and it also includes a drink and some appetizers after the event. That's, again, just a half-day thing that's happening at the DAC. Events, you know, Detroit DAC, you'll be able to find it. That is a half day geared towards building a listing inventory in today's market, which obviously the listing inventory today is scarce, as a lot of you guys know. So not only am I going to be sharing all of what we call the secrets of a listing-based business, because I've gone through and kind of scoured all the things that we've been doing the last few years to build our listing inventory, I'll be sharing that, and also we're going to have a nice top producer panel with other Metro Detroit top agents that are doing well with listings taken that I'll be interviewing from stage. So the networking piece is from 4 to 5:30, and you can find that online to register at gloveru.com. So if you go to gloveru.com, click on events, you'll find it, June 4th at the DAC. That's the first one that is considered a big event. Really the main event is the Live Unreal Retreat, which is in Traverse City. That's July 22nd, 23rd, 24th. The whole theme of that event, again, sticking with listings, is building a listing-based business. And that's 2.5 days. Listings taken. I won't bore you with all the details on that, but if you want to check that out, that's at liveunrealretreat.com. LIVEUNREAL. Retreat.com, and there's also special pricing specifically for this group that I'm talking to today, so get with Mary Beth if you want to take advantage of that, because if I'm not mistaken, I think we've already bought, this office has already bought 2 10-packs, so yeah, so we've already filled, we got like 20 people already planning on going. We'll probably end up buying another one, and the 10-packs are, of course, to get the lower price, and obviously you guys are affiliated with what I'm doing, so we like to pass that on to you. Okay, let's jump into the material. I have about, I don't know, 19, maybe 20 different points that I'm going to share today, so hopefully you got a pen and paper, because we're going to go through I'll get through this probably in 30 to 40 minutes maybe 45 at the most, so we'll have 5, 10, 15 minutes at the end for some Q&A. All right, so point number 1, which isn't really a point, but if you want to write it down, you can. I wrote down why open houses, all right? So I honestly thought 5, 6 years ago that there would be a day that we would not have to deal with open houses. And I say that because I was never a big fan of open houses. I was the agent that would prefer to just go in the office on a Saturday. Because the majority of my career, I got into business in 03, the majority of my career in Metro Detroit, you know, the crash started in 2006, and we didn't really come out of it until 2013, right? So I was in that shift for 6, 7 years. Open houses weren't effective in a buyer's market. Why is that? Well, that's because when buyers have a lot of choices, they can rely on what their realtor sends them. They can rely on Zillow or Realtor.com. They got enough out there to take a look at to where they don't have to shop around and drive around and find all the reason why the traffic are exhausting. More of a traditional mentality, but it comes out when this market gets like this, where listing inventories are scarce. Well, you know, if it is to be, it's up to us. We'll just go find it ourselves. Let's just get in the car and drive around. So they drive around, and that's why you see a lot of how to convert for sale by owners at the retreat, and they drive around and call on open houses or visit open houses. And so here, this whole time, I was thinking, you know, 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I'm so glad open houses are going away. I wish I could never had to do another one, because I'd rather go in and just reach out to people. And now all of a sudden open houses are more popular today with all the technology that we have than they were 10 years ago. And that's because we're in a seller's market. So I wrote down why open houses. I like kind of starting off with that. That's why open houses are really effective right now. So here you have it. The guy that was anti-open houses for years and years is actually endorsing open houses. And I'm endorsing them for 2 reasons. Number 1, because I'm seeing a lot of agents have success with them. And number 2, I'm doing them a couple a year, and I'm seeing success when I do them as well. And I'm going to share with you 18, 19 thoughts on when I was sharing this with some of our agents this morning. Even if you've been doing this business 6, 7, 8 years, there's a lot of agents in this industry that are 5, 10, 15 plus year veterans that it's been a long time since they've done an open house, and they almost have this mentality, kind of like I had. Oh, I've been doing this 15 years. I don't need to do open houses anymore. That's kind of like for the past. That's for new agents. I'll tell you, there's a lot of experienced agents and teams having a lot of success with open houses. And so I'm going to share with you what it is they're doing differently now that open houses are a bit different today. All right? So this, I guess, could be point number 1. There's 6 goals for every open house. So when you hold an open house, and by the way, for those of you that have been doing this for a while, you're going to say, okay, well, those are pretty basic. We get into some pretty advanced stuff as we go on, but I start, of course, with the basics. There's 6 goals of an open house. All right? Technically 7, if I'll give you a bonus goal. There's 6 goals of an open house. Let's add a 7th. All right? Goal number 1 is to give you a reason to reduce a listing. Give you a reason to reduce a listing. One of the easiest ways you can get a price reduction is by calling a seller and telling them that you're interested in hosting an open house for them. And in order to do that, we just need to do a few things. I'm going to promote it, that it's going to be held open on Zillow. I'm going to promote it on Realtor.com. I'm going to promote it on the MLS. I'm going to door knock the neighborhood, and we just need to do one more thing, and that is we need to adjust the price. You know, we've been at this $225 price since we started, and if I'm going to do all of these, would you be willing to adjust the price to $199? Just using that as a scenario, right? It's kind of like the alternative choice close. If I'm willing to do A, B, C, D, and E, would you be willing to adjust the price so we can drive more traffic to the open house and hopefully create perhaps a multiple offer situation, right? So goal number one is to use it as a reason to get a price reduction. It's a motivating piece that would, and I'll tell you, in most cases, it's pretty successful because they know it. They're gonna go through the trouble of getting their home ready. You know, they're gonna spruce it up, they're gonna turn on all the lights, they're gonna leave for 2, 3, 4 hours, and this is like their big focus for the weekend. So if we're turning this into a big event, we need to make the price more attractive. So goal number one is a reason for a price reduction. Goal number two, and these are in no particular order, by the way. Goal number two is to sell the listing. Obviously, that is why the seller believes you're holding the open house. And so that really needs to be your focus when you're talking with the seller. Now we know, and by the way, most consumers know, I had somebody in the class ask yesterday, you know, should I tell the sellers that I'm also there to get buyers? You can, there's nothing wrong with that. The reality is it's common sense. If I have 10 people walk through, one person's interested in your house, 9 people aren't, yeah, I'm going to try to go work with those buyers and sell them other homes. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But at a minimum, you should make sure they understand, because I think a lot of agents forget this. They just say, oh yeah, we're going to be hosting an open house, and don't really tell the seller the purpose of that. That's goal number 2, sell the listing. Goal number 3, set a buyer consultation or CMA appointment on the spot. Set a buyer consultation or CMA appointment on the spot. That's my ultimate goal. If I can't get the listing sold on the spot, and by the way, do I bring a purchase agreement with me to the open house? Every time. Just one contract. You never know when a buyer's going to fall in love, especially, you know, if you're in a 3-bedroom, 1.5, $150,000 ranch. Those are moving, right? In most markets, those are moving like crazy. So I'm bringing a purchase agreement, and I'm going in with the attitude that I'm going to try to get one of these buyers to make an offer. If I can't, I'm going to close for a buyer consultation or a CMA appointment. A CMA appointment is the market analysis to determine whether we're going to list their home during the open house. And if it's a real hot one, meaning I know they're driving around looking at open houses and meeting a lot of agents, I'm going to close for the buyer consultation or CMA appointment within an hour or 2 after the open house. It's very common for me, if I'm going to have an open house, if I'm doing it, say, from 1 to 4 as an example, I'm leaving open in my schedule until about 6 o'clock. Why am I doing that? Well, because if I'm going to try to close for a buyer consultation, I want it to be right then and there when their emotions are high, when they're feeling good about things, and I want to go meet them at a Starbucks or I want to go meet them at their house to do a CMA for them. So I'm always leaving myself a good 90 minutes to 2 hours after the open house for my buyer consultation or listing presentation. Well, what happens if you don't have any comps and you don't know anything about their house? I don't care. You just go and get in front of them and sit down and ask questions and build rapport, and you can 2-step that appointment if you absolutely had to. Or, of course, you can go through your plan of action and what you're going to do to help them sell the home and just tell them you're going to follow up with them on the price. I've had a lot of listing agreements that I've taken like that through the years. I get everything signed minus the price because we got to go back and determine what is the right price. Or a buyer consultation, you should have everything there for a buyer consultation anyways, because you're expecting buyers to walk in. So goal number 3 is to set a buyer consultation or CMA appointment. Goal number 4, generate leads to follow up with. Generate leads to follow up with. Obviously, I'm going to have a lot of good conversations, and most of those people are going to be friendly to me. Most of them are going to be people that are reasonable to have a conversation with, but a lot of them aren't going to be ready to do something right now. It's very common with open houses, you know, the old saying, you get a lot of tire kickers. You get a lot of people that are, they're not just tire kickers because they're out and about. They will be a buyer at some point in time. I look at every person that walks in an open house, whether they're ready to go right now or not, as someone who's going to be ready to do something with me at a point in time. So I'm determining while I'm in that open house who I need to follow up with. The next one would be who I need to add. The next goal, which one are we on? 5, 6? 5? The next goal would be identify who to add to the database. Identify who I'm adding to the database. Okay, they're nowhere near ready. They're nosy neighbors. They want to see what their home, their neighbor's house is all about. You made a great impression on them. You had some good conversation about what's going on in the market, and I'm going to ask them a question. Would it be helpful to you if I kept you up to date on what's going on in your neighborhood in terms of new listings and sales? That's the easiest way to add someone to a database. Would it be helpful to you if I kept you up to date on all the new listings and sales that take place in the neighborhood from time to time? That way you know every time a home is listed, every time a home has sold. Would you prefer that? Yeah, that'd be great. You can do that. They don't usually resist on that. Yeah, sure, you can put us on whatever list you got. Okay, no problem. And then I'm adding them to the database. Doesn't necessarily mean I'll ever get a sale from them, but you know the math. The rule on the database is somewhere between a 5 and 10% return depending on the size of your database. Meaning if I have 1,000 people in the database, I could at some point in time get 50 to 100 transactions from that group over time. So I'm always looking for people to add to the database. By the way, I'm not always adding everyone to the database. I'm only adding people that I had a great conversation with, that I had good rapport with, that it felt good, and they of course said yes to that question, right? Next goal of an open house. Appease the seller. Appease the seller. That's a realistic goal. Some sellers, as you know, they want an open house, and that they've been told by all their friends and family that if your realtor doesn't do an open house, they're not a good realtor. And so we're going to do the open house to appease them. And, oh, by the way, I've had a lot of our agents who are not big fans of open houses say, you know what, I'm really glad I did that open house because I actually got a buyer out of it, or I actually got a seller out of it. But we do it sometimes, again, the goal to appease the seller. And finally, number 7, I guess this would be, impress the neighborhood and your sphere of influence on social media. Impress the neighborhood and your sphere of influence on social media. Everyone loves an active agent, and the perception of the consumer is that if you're doing open houses, you must be a busy agent. You must be a successful agent. And so this is a good opportunity to impress the neighbors around that open house, to let them know that you're holding, a lot of our agents will go an hour before the open house and let them know that they're holding the open house open. To impress the neighbors and make a good impression, perhaps add someone to their database. So those are the 7 goals of an open house. That's point number 1. Point number 2. Always remember the buyer searching agent's stat. Always remember the buyer searching agent's stat. And I'll share that with you now. Buyers searching agents. Always remember the buyer searching agent's stat. This is an important one because this is not only a statistic based on what the National Association of Realtors tells us, but it's also a mindset. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So the National Association of Realtors says, and by the way, it's been a few years since I've checked this, so this number might be even higher. I would guess that this number has gone up, not down, because open houses are popular today, more so than they were 5 years ago. The National Association of Realtors says that the average buyer shops 7 agents before they select one. They have some sort of contact, face-to-face, over the phone, email, with 7 agents before they pick the agent that's going to write the offer for them. 7. In contrary to that, by the way, a listing is like 1.5. They'll interview one, it's 1.5 because it's an average, but most sellers will interview 1 to 3 agents to sell their home. But when they're buying, a buyer has on average contact with 7 realtors before they say, yeah, let's write an offer on this one. So my mentality is that I'm going to be number 7. Everyone that walks in has already met 1 through 6, and I'm going to be that number 7. So I keep that in the back of my mind at all times, because even when they say, well, yeah, we're working with agents, well, do you have a contract with an agent? Well, no, we don't have a contract with an agent. Working with agents is a smokescreen. Whenever you hear them say, oh yeah, we've got an agent, or we're working with agents, okay, I can certainly appreciate that. You mean you have a contract with an agent? You with the open house as if I didn't even hear that. meaning I provide a great service, I offer them some things which we'll talk about, and I try to essentially cause that consumer to say, you know what, we ought to try working with this guy. Now, if they have a contract with another agent, legally you can't do that. All right, so that's why I would just follow it up with, oh, you're working with another agent? Perfect. You have a contract with an agent? Oh, no, we don't have a contract. We just have someone that's showing us homes. No problem. And then I just continue as if I almost didn't even hear that at all, because that's perfectly legal to do, by the way. And I'm not saying I'm trying to coerce them away from their agent. I'm just trying to provide a higher level of service, which I'm sharing with you, and we'll continue to share with you how we do that. So never forget, or always remember, depending how you wrote it, the buyer's searching agent stat. It's an average of 7 agents before they select an agent. All right, point number 3 or 2, whatever one we're on. I'm out of order now. The guest registry, very key tool in an open house. Very key tool in an open house. The basic guest registry, right? Name, phone number, email address, source. I've seen some different ones that have more options. I like to keep it simple. It's name, phone number, email address, source. Source being, how did you hear about the open house? I like to know how they heard about it. Couple keys here, all right? It's not just a matter of, yeah, here's our guest registry, go ahead and sign in. I'm going to give you how you get good information. Number 1, first things first, when you get to an open house, you always fill out a dummy attendee. A dummy attendee at the top. Meaning you're writing in a name, an address, a phone number, an email, how they heard about the house. You're filling that in. It can be, you can make it up. I'll never forget when I first started doing open house, it was the parents of my very first girlfriend, right? I don't know, their name sounded fine to me, and I remember the address, and I remember their phone number. So every single time I did an open house, those were my first attendees. Well, why did I do that? Because history repeats itself, and consumers will follow suit with the person before them. So if you fill out a dummy all the way across, the next person that comes in is more likely to give you all of the information you are asking for. If it's blank and they're the first attendee and they write their name and their cell phone number, guess what the next person will do? They'll write their name and their cell phone number. They'll leave off their email, they'll leave off their address, they'll leave off how they heard of it. Which brings me to my next point. If your number 1 attendee, which is you, is filled out completely, and your number 2 attendee comes into the open house, and let's say they leave off their email address, not uncommon, or their phone number. They leave something off. As soon as they leave, you go in and fill in a fake one. Otherwise, what will start to happen is your guest check-in will start to look like an upside-down Christmas tree. Like every single person that comes in behind them will start giving you less and less information. So if number 2 comes in and they leave their phone number off, when they leave, you write in a fake phone number. So that way when number 3 comes in, they give you all of the information that the person above gave, because it's appropriate to follow suit. All right, I will tell you that has caused me to gain a lot of leads through the years by doing the dummy attendee. So the third thing I'll tell you on that is and by the way, when you have busy open houses, this is important. As soon as they leave and you fill in the dummy information, either keep a yellow pad. I'm old fashioned, so I use yellow pads a lot. Keep a yellow pad, or what I used to do is just flip my open house guest registry over, and I would just write the number 2. And next to number 2, I would say, fake phone number, just started looking, moving from Plymouth, need to be in a home in 90 days. So I'm writing some things about my conversation with them so I remember. All right? Again, these are all lessons I've learned through the years. Otherwise, you have an open house where you have 10, 12, 15, 30 people through, you're not going to remember everyone. Even if you had a great conversation, you're going to get them mixed up. So after everyone leaves, after one person leaves, I turn it over, I write it down. Now here's the deal, I got the question yesterday. Well, what happens when it's chaotic? Well, you have a couple options there. Some agents I've heard, by the way, I feel like I can handle, maybe 2 groups, 3 at the most by myself. All right, I've heard of, and I'm not necessarily endorsing this, but I can see why it would be effective, but I could also see why it could turn some people away. Making people wait outside until one group is done. Well, if it's a busy, crazy one, you got a line all the way across the street. May not be a bad thing for the neighbors to see that, But I have had agents say that that's how they handle it. When they have multiple people come through, they just say, hey, if you guys wouldn't mind waiting outside for a few minutes, these guys are just finishing up. And then they wait outside, and as soon as they leave, so that way you're 100% focused on one person. If it's going to be chaotic and you know it's going to be chaotic, well, how am I going to know it's going to be chaotic? Okay, just know you know what's selling and what's sitting, right? If you got a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath ranch, 150,000, probably going to be chaotic. Bring a second agent, all right? Or the third thing that you can do is essentially talk to them in a group. All right, so yeah, they just came in. If you guys wouldn't mind, just wait a second, right? So that way everyone's getting the same spiel and everyone's kind of going their way through the house, which I'll talk about how that works in a second. So there's a couple different ways that you can handle that. You do what's most comfortable for you. I was okay with 2 to 3 groups. I felt like I could manage 2 to 3 at a time. How I got them to sign in, which this is an important script, is, hey, thanks for coming to the open house. I'm excited to have you here, and I'm sure the sellers are too. If you wouldn't mind, this is an occupied home, or whether it's occupied or not. The sellers have requested that everyone sign in. So I'll show you to the kitchen. This is at the front door. Hey, thanks for visiting us. We're excited that you're here. It's a great day, whatever, you know, some small talk. If you wouldn't mind, I'm putting it on the seller. 2 things happen there. Number one, psychologically, they're thinking, okay, well, if this was us, I guess I can kind of respect that if this was our house. And number 2, the seller requests that you sign in. I'm taking them to it. They're seeing the sign-in sheet where everyone else is signed in. Unless it's your second attendee, then they're just going to see the one there. All right, so the seller has requested that you sign in, not necessarily me. All right. That's your guest registry. Point number 3. Which I already mentioned, but I'll repeat it again. Point number 3 is make sure you're keeping notes on each client after they leave. I used to do that on the back of the guest registry. You know, if the open house is busy, you might not be able to get to it, so just do it on a separate yellow pad. And I'm not talking a full paragraph. I'm just talking 3-4 sentences of what you remember. Okay. Point number 4. Let's talk about the flyer for the open house for a second. All right, so very simple. Okay, flyer of the property. It can be the MLS flyer. It can be a nice flyer that you put together on Canva or one of the other marketing sites, Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. I know there's some good ones out there. On the back side, I want to show my credibility and my knowledge of the neighborhood, and I want to have the actives, pendings, and solds within a half mile. Now, depending on how many houses, if I'm in a more rural area, which, by the way, I don't recommend open houses in rural areas. There's 2 types of open houses that get there's 3 types of open houses, by the way, that get the least amount of traffic. You ready for them? These 3 types of properties get the least amount of traffic. Number 1, homes located in rural areas. Number 2, condos, unless it's like, you know, a high-rise downtown area where condos are like prominent. And number 3, listings that have been on the market for more than 2 to 3 weeks. Rural area properties, condos, and homes that have been on the and it's very normal, right? For the most part, condos always have a little bit lower attendance than single-family residential. Been on the market for 2 or 3 weeks. By the way, if it's been on the market for more than 2 or 3 weeks, you can have good traffic to an open house if you get a price reduction. So, you know, if you want to put in the margin there, that rule, there's like an exception to that rule. 2 or 3 weeks since it's been listed or since the last price reduction. Because a price reduction is like a brand new listing. So I got my actives, pendings, and solds on the back. Okay, I have a list. If I know of other open houses that are taking place, I've got a list of them. Resource or single point of contact. So if I'm doing an open house in Livonia, Michigan, let's say, I'm going to go on Zillow or go on the MLS, and I'm going to find all the other open houses in Livonia, Michigan. And I have no problem sharing that with the buyer when they come in, because I want to be their single point of contact. So I'm a resource to them. That's something they're not getting in the other open houses. And then the last thing I wrote down, which this was something we talked about yesterday when I taught this class, is a neighborhood fact sheet. It's almost like a neighborhood cheat sheet. And Taylor, if you wouldn't mind writing that down, because I think that's something we should add, that one of the agents mentioned yesterday. And it's basically a cheat sheet of the elementary school, the middle school, the high school. The distance to Starbucks, the distance to a grocery store, the distance to clothing stores, the distance to the local mall, the closest parks, their names, the closest lakes. It's almost like a neighborhood cheat sheet. 2 reasons why I think it's beneficial to do one of these. And the reason why it came up is because the point I had shared was get familiar with the neighborhood before you go, you're gonna get questions like, which elementary school does this neighborhood feed to? They mostly already know the school district, but they don't know the elementary school. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Number 1, you're educating yourself, because these are things that probably could come up in the open house and questions from buyers. And number 2, again, you're providing a value which causes you to stand out, something that other realtors may not be doing. All right, so a neighborhood cheat sheet or fact sheet. And of course, when we're talking about what else is at the open house, at the table there, you've got the sign-in sheet, you got those things I just mentioned. It's very common nowadays. They have bottles of water and cookies laid out, and you want to dress it up and make them feel warm and comfortable, and just make sure the presentation's nice. I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of stuff on that. You can use your imagination on that stuff. A couple of agents did mention that when I asked them, okay, what are some things that you're seeing in 2019 that are different? People are doing, like if they're on Sundays, like mimosas now, depending on the crowd and depending on the price range, or giving away swag bags that might include koozies or pens or things like that. So you can dress up the presentation as much as you want. If you know me by now, I'm pretty simple and straightforward. So, here's some water. Come on, you guys want to see the house or not? I'm kidding, I wasn't that direct, but yes. So that's up to you what you add. Okay, greeting and getting the seller to sign in. That's point number, what are we on? 6, 5? 5, okay. Greeting and getting the seller to sign in. Again, the seller requested script. You walk them to the kitchen directly. And here's a key, as basic as it sounds, don't talk to them while they're filling in that guest registration form. Do not talk to them. You'll distract them. And guess what'll happen? It's natural, especially for you high eyes, right? You want to talk and you want there to be stuff going on all the time. I want to be building rapport. What do you mean don't talk to them? The second you start talking to them, here's what happens. Oh yeah, we've been looking for a few months now, but yeah, we're kind of serious. We're getting to the point where we're really serious. They stop filling out the guest registry because you just engaged them in a conversation. So let there be, 60 seconds of silence while they're filling that out. It's okay if maybe you want to chit chat if there's 2 of them with the other for a bit while one of them's filling it out. But I'm telling you, even there, I would question that, because then it's like the one that's filling out wants to get involved in that conversation. So even though there's a little bit of silence and it might, bless you, it might feel a little bit awkward, don't talk to them while they're filling out that sheet. They're distracted. After they're done with the sign-in, I have written down point number 6. Always stay on the same level, but do not follow them into bedrooms. Always stay on the same level, but do not follow them into bedrooms. Most purchase decisions are made in the master bedroom or the master bathroom, and I do not want to interfere with their conversation during that time. So I will go up the stairs and I'll be in the hallway, or I might even be outside the door of the master bedroom, or in the middle of the hallway or something, but I'm not following them into rooms, all right? You don't want to be too pushy with them. Ask questions and build rapport as they're moving about the house, not when they're walking into rooms. All right, so if you're wondering, well, when do I talk to them? When they're moving from the upstairs to the downstairs, or when they're going from the backyard deck to back into the house. That's where you engage in conversations, during the strolls in between rooms. Next, I wrote down point number 7. Well, what questions do I ask? I've got 4 or 5 questions to give you that are the best questions that you can ask in an open house in 2019. So if you don't mind me asking, I know you guys mentioned when you were walking in that you were doing the open house thing today. What have you been experiencing so far in shopping for a house? Question number 1. What have you been experiencing so far while shopping for a house? That question will tell you a lot about their situation. Well, we put in 3 offers, none of them got accepted, we're getting pretty fed up with the process. Okay, they're probably about to fire their agent, and they're serious. Well, we've been looking now for, 2.5 years, and we really are just, getting out and about. We got nothing else to do on a Sunday, so we really haven't experienced anything other than open houses. Okay, they're just kicking tires. Maybe if I have a good enough conversation, it makes sense to put them in the database. So what have you been experiencing so far while shopping for a home is one of the best things that you can get out of them to determine their motivation, and you can go a lot of different places with it, right? You can start talking about multiple offer experiences, or you can start talking about how, a lot of potential sellers like to come in and check out open houses when they're thinking of selling. Is that the case with you, type of thing? Basic question, how long have you been looking? I can gauge a lot from that. How long have you been looking? I like asking this one. Well, yeah, that's kind of why we're stopping in. We're actually in the process of getting the house ready for sale. Oh, perfect. You know what? This open house will be wrapped up in about 45 minutes. I'll grab my signs and I can swing by and take a look at your property if you don't mind. What do you think? Well, yeah, it's right around the corner, right? So I'm going right for the close when I can. How long have you been looking? Which home do you own in the neighborhood next? Now this is if you've already achieved a pretty good level of rapport. To better understand your buying power, how much do you plan on putting down on your purchase? To better understand your buying power, how much do you plan on putting down on your purchase? If I have enough rapport to where I know they're buying, I know when they're going to be buying, and we've already talked about multiple offer situations, I'm going to ask the question, to better understand your buying power, how much do you plan on putting down? So that way they can follow it up with, well, we don't know, we have to see how much we can get for our house first. Because that's a lot of times the response. Because they're not usually going to say, well, we just sold our home and we're getting a check for $32,000 at closing. That just doesn't happen. We don't know. We haven't sold our house yet. We don't know what we're going to get. Oh, where's your home located? Oh, it's right, 2 blocks away. Oh, perfect. You're looking to downsize them, huh? Assuming I know what neighborhood they're coming from. Have you had anyone out to take a look at it yet? Oh, yeah, we have. Well, I tell you what, I'm not doing anything after the open house. I can swing by and take a look at it for you. Always closing for the appointment after the open house. Those are some of the best questions that you can ask during an open house. Point number 8. Remember, in most cases, working with an agent is a smokescreen 90% of the time. Working with an agent is a smokescreen. A smokescreen, something they're telling you to get you to back off. They're talking about it on their way up to the house. Hey, honey, listen, just tell the agent we already have an agent. They'll leave us alone. Right? Like that's their script. They're scripting it. They're doing script practice like we do. They're doing their own version before they get to the door. And they get to the door. Yeah, we just want to take a look through, but we already have an agent. Okay, hey, no problem. I assume you already have an agent. Most people already do. So you have a contract with an agent? Oh, no. We just have an agent that we're working with. All right, perfect. Well, hey, thanks for coming. And again, I asked them, because legally we're supposed to ask, do you have a contract with an agent? Oh, no, we don't. By the way, most of them say they don't. Because they almost always, they don't want to admit that, even if they did, they're like embarrassed, like, oh crap, we did sign a contract with an agent. Whatever. So if they say no to that, I just assume that they are a buyer that's up for discussion at some point in time. Because I go back to the stat. 7 agents before they choose an agent. Well, I'm number 7. You must be on number 6. So let's go. Come on in. That's my mentality. Number 9. Know the neighborhood. Goes back to that cheat sheet I mentioned. Know the elementary schools, where the parks are. And remember, sellers are shopping agents too. Meaning that a potential neighbor comes in and they want to see how well you know their neighborhood. They're shopping for a listing agent. They want to see how knowledgeable you are. So it goes back to having that cheat sheet handy. Point number 10. When you can tell they're getting ready to leave, start closing for a buyer consultation. And here's the best way to do it. When you can tell they're getting ready to leave, that's when you start closing for the buyer consultation or the CMA, depending on what discussions you've had up to this point. Okay, so how can you tell that they're getting ready to leave? Well, first things first, I want to guide them through parts of the house, not follow them, guide them in the direction, and then kind of back away. And I want to try to put a path together. I know this sounds silly, but this is, if you guys know me by now, it's like sales always, right? I'm always teaching all the sales all the time. That's my passion. So when I'm doing an open house, guess what I do when I get there? I'm planning a route that I'm going to take these clients. Because, by the way, especially depending on the size of the house, you want to be efficient with your time. And I'm planning a route to where we finish in or near the kitchen. So in other words, I'm not going to immediately take them from the front door to the backyard, and then back through the kitchen, and then upstairs, and then back downstairs, and then they're in the family room or the living room by the front door, and then they're gone. I'm planning it to the kitchen is one of the last things. It's the first place we go, and it's the last place we pass. Because that is an opportunity. It's just, call it human nature, call it tradition, call it whatever. That's the most comfortable place to have a conversation with a client in the house. Everywhere else is just weird. All right, you're in a hallway. You're like right here with the person. By the front door. They have their hand on the door, and you're asking them questions. That's not going to work out very well, right? Try to pass them through the kitchen. Well, how do I do that? Well, you're going to have to look at the house and try to plan a route. So depending on the house, sometimes we'll go kitchen, and then we'll say, you know what? Let's go upstairs first. I'll just give you an example. Let's go upstairs first. I'll show you. Let's take a look upstairs. Again, they go upstairs. You stay in the hallway. They go into the bedrooms. We come back down. How about the backyard, guys? You want to see the backyard? We go to the backyard. Well, I know that the basement door, or the entrance to the basement, is right around the corner from the kitchen. And they're going to have to come back up the stairs and walk through the kitchen to walk back out the front door. So I'm going to save, in this particular house example, I'm going to save the basement for last. Because I know that we're going to end up back in the kitchen. So you have to kind of map out a route to where we're going to end up somewhere at or near the kitchen. All right, so these are 3 or 4 questions, closing questions, that I'm asking with a yellow pad in hand. And I'm asking them, and an important point here is, I'm assuming that I am their agent. I'm assuming that they're going to hire me at a point in time. Unless they told me they have a contract with another agent. Then legally, not legally, ethically, I can't do that. So, assuming I know they don't have a contract with another agent, I'm asking them these questions. So, if you guys don't mind sharing with me, what does this home have, or what doesn't it have that you absolutely have to have in your next home? As much as possible, I'm asking open-ended questions. I don't want to ask closed-ended questions because I don't want them to give me yes or no answers. I want answers that lead. This is a key in sales. You always want to ask questions where they're forced to give answers that lead to additional conversation. All right? Yes or no is like, cuts you off, right? So what does this home have or not have, or what is a must-have that you're looking for in a house today? Well, Jeff, one of the things that we absolutely have to have, and we've decided now that we've looked at a few of these, is we don't have the 50 grand or 75 grand to finish a basement. So we definitely have decided moving forward, we're ruling out unfinished basements. And I'm writing down, I'm assuming that I'm their agent. Okay, no unfinished basements. Perfect. And are you open to any other, what other cities, not are you, because that's yes or no, what other cities or price ranges are you open to other than this particular neighborhood? What other cities and or price ranges are you open to other than this particular neighborhood? Well, to be truthful with you, Jeff, this one's way out of our price range. We were just going to Kroger and we figured we'd stop by, and this is probably about $100,000 out of our price range. Yeah, I know $350 is a lot for a house like this, and certainly, good news is there's a lot to choose from around the $250 price point, so I'll make a note of that. So you're kind of comfortable around $150 to $250 then, would you say? Yeah, we really would like to be around that $200,000. Great. How about bedrooms and bathrooms? Do you have a requirement on how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms you have to have, or what is the amount of bedrooms and bathrooms that you prefer to have? Definitely have to have 3. Right, so this is just a conversation. We haven't talked about whether I'm going to be their agent or not, what happens after this step. They're just going along. And I'll tell you, in most cases, they're going to continue to go along with you, or they may stop you and say, well, we already have an agent, so I don't think we need to go through this. Oh, okay. Well, I know you said you didn't have a contract with an agent, so I appreciate you sharing that with me. Let me ask you this question, and this is my favorite question to ask of buyers in open houses. Let me ask you this question. Would it make life easier on you? Would it make life easier on you if you not only were set up on a search of what's going on in the neighborhoods, because I know everyone does that. Would it make life easier on you if you were not only set up on a search of what's going on in all the neighborhoods, but also you received a call every single time a home hit the market that fit what you're looking for, and sometimes even before they come on the market? Would that put you in a better position? I get you're probably set up on a search, every buyer is today. So I'm kind of downplaying that. I get that you're set up on search. Almost all buyers are set up on searches today. And I was wondering, would it make life easier on you if you received a call or a text or some type of notification from me every single time a home hits the market that fits exactly what you're looking for? And you're not just being sent a list of properties. Many times before they even hit the market, would that make life easier on you? Well, yeah, I suppose it can't hurt. And oh, by the way, I actually pull out the stat. The National Association of Realtor tells us that most buyers work with 6 or 7 agents before they finally select one. So I can appreciate your loyalty to your agent, and I would want you to continue working for them, and I would just like to show you what I might be able to do differently. Yeah, we could take you up on that. Perfect. Your email address is, watch this, and your phone number is, a lot of times the information they put on the registration does not match what they give you after I built rapport. So I'm not even bringing up the fact, I got your email, no worry, I'll follow up with you, dude. I'll follow, yeah, I got all that stuff. I'm pretending almost that they didn't sign in. So when I go for a close for the next step, basically, I'm re-asking them for their information, because many times the information that they wrote down does not match what they share with you after spending 15 minutes with you and you building some rapport. Use the would it make life easier on you script. It works. Okay, point number 11. Closing for the buyer consultation or the CMA, you close it immediately following the open house. That is your highest and best opportunity to convert that client. Obviously, a lot of them are going to say no to that, and that's okay. You're going to make a determination to set an appointment on the spot or to follow up with them on Monday. So even if we're not meeting, it's 3 o'clock. Hey, I'm closing up in 45 minutes. You guys want to just meet at Starbucks around the corner? Oh, we gotta go to Home Depot. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. Well, I tell you what. What about Monday? Monday afternoon, evening? You guys available? Maybe after 4 or 5 o'clock? Yeah, we could maybe do that. Yeah, I'll just swing by, take a look at your property. We'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll share with you, obviously, what we're doing to help buyers like yourself get into offers where they're being accepted and not outbid, and also give you an idea what your home's worth. Would that make life easier on you if I did that? Sure, no problem. Buyer consultation immediately following the open house if hot. 3 places you can do the buyer consultation or the CMA appointment. Okay, throw out the rule of thumb. This is a 1990s rule, and I love the guy. I learned a lot from Floyd Wickman. He used to have this acronym called CTO. Come into the office, toss that out. Okay, that's going to be your 3rd option that you're going to suggest. I'm never recommending that they meet me at my office, and I'll share with you why. I'm recommending that we meet at their home. Because in most cases, if they have a home to sell, that opens the door to talking about a market analysis. And this is a mistake a lot of buyers agents make. They're so focused on their home search, their home search, their home search. Next thing you know, and it's happened to all of us, including me, I've learned from experience, you're working with a buyer 2-3 weeks, things are going great, and then they tell you they listed their home for sale. And you're like, well, I could have helped you with that. Well, yeah, you got so distracted by the buyer conversation that it didn't even come up. So, first place I want to do a buyer consultation is at their home. Second place I want to do a buyer consultation is a location near where they're shopping. A location near where they're shopping. And I'll go back to that one in a second. Third place I want to do a buyer consultation is a real estate office, KW real estate office nearest them. So for instance, if they're looking in Farmington Hills, probably not going to meet them in Plymouth for a buyer consultation. I'm going to utilize the West Bloomfield office, or I'm going to utilize the Northville office, right? Because the perception is that if you're making them drive to an office that's not near the area that they're looking in, then you must not be equipped to help them in that area. Which brings me back to point number 2. I would rather meet them, and this is a perfect scenario, and it comes to mind because I just saw this gentleman at our past client event. This was before Keller Williams had a Grosse Pointe office, which just opened not long ago. We had a referral from somewhere, I don't remember where, and they're looking in Grosse Pointe. Well, for those of you that know Grosse Pointe is very separate from the rest of Detroit and Wayne County and everything out there on an island, okay? Well, I knew that going into it, and I knew I was at a bit of a disadvantage because not only was I from Plymouth, but there also is not a Keller Williams office in Grosse Pointe at the time. This was 4 years ago. And so I met him at a Starbucks. And I got there early enough to reserve a table for us and have everything set up. And when I did the full-blown buyer consultation at the table, and he refers his business, he comes to our client events. He didn't care whether I had an office in Grosse Pointe or not. It didn't matter. I was meeting him in the community that he was shopping in. So I would rather meet a buyer for a buyer consultation at a Starbucks in the community they're shopping in than make them drive 10 minutes further to a real estate office nearest them. Now, if there happens to be a Keller Williams office nearest them, then that's fine. I'm okay with that. But definitely don't make them drive across town to meet you at your office. So that's why I say throw that script out the window. And I'm actually making a note of something on that. Okay, point number, whatever we're on. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, all right, 12. Okay, I have 12, so we'll go with that. All right, utilize social media. Okay, that sounds basic, but I'm going to give you a few things that you can do. Utilize social media. You can create a Facebook event where if you have clients in sphere of influence, you can invite them, and create a little bit of excitement around it. You can boost the Facebook event to the particular city that you're holding a home open in. Or my personal favorite, number 3 under social media, go live. Go live on Facebook. There's no other thing that you do on Facebook that notifies all of your friends when you go live. So go live, because it's free advertising. If you have 1,000, I'll give you an example of why it's effective. If you have 1,000 friends, and you make one cool looking post about your open house, maybe 50 of them will see it, and maybe 7 or 8 will like it, okay? Everyone else, it'll get buried, because Facebook's algorithm says this is a business post, we're not gonna give you free advertising. But when you go live, all of your friends, all 1,000 in that example, get a notification. Betty Lou just went live. Oh, we can check it out now. I can click on it, or I can go check it out later. Either way, I'm getting a notification. All 1,000 of us are getting a notification. Well, what are you doing when you go live? Hi, Jeff Glover, Keller Williams, holding this home open today. Come in and check it out. And I flip the camera around and I show them. It's not so much about the quality of the video or what I'm even saying or showing. It's about the fact that it's notifying people and it's a touch to my database. Speaking of touch to your database, just a quick sidebar. You can add people to your database through Facebook. Facebook gives you suggested friends. It's a little time consuming, and I recommend you maybe time block 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day to do this. But every day it gives you suggested friends that you can just keep scrolling through. Well, the reason why I say it's time consuming is because it's easy to just add. I want you to add consumers, not real estate agents. Because most of the people, how it's giving you those suggestions, by the way, is it's determining who you have a connection with. So if you have a common friend, it's giving that person, it's showing you, do you want to add this person? Because you guys are both friends with Mary over here. Well, I'm going to click on the face, and I'm going to see that she works at, Ford headquarters in Dearborn. Not a real estate agent, add her. That's a quick way to grow a database, because you have a connection, and you can get in front of more people and so forth. All right, so just a sidebar. Next thing I wrote down. Okay, so you've got people walking through, you've got the leads. What is your follow-up and your drip campaign? What does that process look like? I recommend if it's a hot, motivated prospect, you're following up after the open house, or maybe the next morning. If it's an average lead, maybe they're kind of motivated, but not really, then you follow up with them on Monday. Nobody waits past Monday. Everyone, you've touched base with everyone by Monday. By Tuesday or Wednesday, they forgot all about you. So do your follow-ups on Monday. And if I hold an open house and they're not willing to meet me for a buyer consultation, so let's say I'm doing an open house 1 to 4, they're not willing to meet me for a buyer consultation, but I know they're out shopping for houses and I know they're hot, I'll call them at 5 or 6 that night. Say, hey, met you guys a few hours ago. Sure, you went through a lot of open houses today. I just want to let you know, based on our conversation, I got you all set up on a search and I've already found one that fits a little bit like what you're looking for. Are you familiar with the one on Cherry Street? Oh yeah, we drove past that one today. Did you get a chance to go inside? No, it wasn't held open. Perfect. I've got an opening tomorrow at 3 or 4 if you want to go see it. I can get it set up right now. So I'm following up with the hot ones immediately following the open house. Everyone else gets put on some sort of drip campaign depending on their motivation. And remember this next point number 14, 15. Motivated prospects love motivated agents. Unmotivated prospects love unmotivated agents. So if they're highly motivated, I'm putting them on a pretty aggressive drip campaign and I'm following up very regularly. They're not ready to do something right now, but I know they'll probably be a buyer or seller in time, I'm backing off. So I'm first trying to identify their motivation so I can match it. That's the number one reason why we do lead follow-up. Most people think we do lead follow-up to set appointments. No, we do lead follow-up to determine their motivation. Only then do we go for the appointment if the motivation's there. Motivated prospects love motivated agents. Unmotivated prospects love unmotivated agents. So I can turn into an unmotivated agent from time to time. I know it's probably hard to believe, but I can tone down my motivation. And I can be totally casual and, hey, no problem, whenever you're ready, take your time. I don't want to be that pushy sales guy anyway. Just let me know when you're ready. Next point. Always remember that 30% of buyers who visit your open house have a home to sell. 30% of buyers that visit your open house, in our experience, have a home to sell. That's more of a mindset thing. If you keep that in mind all the way through, you're looking for CMA opportunities, you're looking for listing opportunities. And finally, the final point I have written down, and then we'll go into some Q&A. We're a little over on time. Signs, signs, signs. Signs, signs, signs. Meaning, get obnoxious with signs. The days of putting like one on this corner and one on that corner. No. I want one on every corner, on every single possible way to get to the house. And oh, by the way, in front of the house, I want 5 or 6. I want it to stand out. Okay, the traditional, I remember some of our agents would not do an open house unless they got balloons. They swore by the balloons, which if you think about it, makes sense because they stand out. Okay, I know some agents now are doing those big feather flags, right? Those are obnoxious, but they get attention. So get obnoxious. It's okay to get obnoxious with your signs. Utilize balloons, utilize a feather flag, utilize something that causes your open house to stand out. Okay, so I know we went a little bit over, so if a few of you have to leave or whatever, that's fine. Questions on anything we talked about in relation to killing it with open houses in 2019?
A lot of information. I have a quick question for me.
Yes.
I think it was told maybe when I took the training, for video, of a listing, MLS listing, we cannot be in the video. However, is it okay to be in it for the open house, even if it's our listing?
If it's your Facebook page, you can go live in a listing and you can be in the video if it's your Facebook page. This has nothing to do with the MLS.
Okay. Oh, so that same video though could not be in the MLS?
Correct. Yeah, you can't do any sort of self-promotion on the MLS.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are two separate things. Yeah.
But you're allowed to talk about the address, where it's at.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Yeah. Now, of course, if it's not your listing, you can't claim it to be your listing if you're holding someone
Right.
else's listing
Right.
open. So you would probably want it, it's probably safe to disclose whose listing it is, but that's like fine print. Like you just get through that and get into the house, and the whole point of that is just notifying your Facebook friends that you're an active agent. Which quite honestly is why if I'm a new agent, I'm trying to hold one open every week. And that way every week my friends are getting notified of how busy I am,
Right.
and the busyness is what creates the credibility, which leads to referrals.
And then if you are holding it for somebody else in the office.
Yes.
How do you, I mean, don't say it's your open house, but what would you say on that?
Well, especially if it's someone under the same brokerage, so you just use a lot of we language, okay, because we're under the same brokerage. And then you just have to remember to update the listing agent on how it went after the open house. Some listing agents are a little weird about you writing a letter to their client, so I would just say immediately following the open house, update the listing agent on how it went. But just use a lot of the we language. Yeah.
Do you recommend to your sellers, like, they bake an apple pie or like candles or do
Yeah, we didn't really get into a lot of that today, but think of the senses, right? Sights, sounds, smells, feel, right? Little soft music is great. Definitely, if they just baked cookies that morning, that's even better, right? Don't overkill it with candles, but yeah, try to appeal to the senses. Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
How do you handle the objection that they say, Jeff, we don't want an open house?
Well, we don't want an open house. Well, I can certainly appreciate that you don't want an open house, Mary Beth. Now, of course, if I didn't really want to do an open house, then I would say, great, we agree. Okay? But if I want to do an open house because it makes sense, then I would say, I can certainly appreciate that, Mary Beth, and it's your choice, it's your home. I just want to let you know that, and I would probably give some examples. In the last 90 days, if I had a personal example, I would say I had a listing, the sellers say the exact same thing. They didn't want an open house. I convinced them to do an open house. We not only got into a multiple offer situation, but because of the open house, we got 3 more offers than we would have had, and they ended up getting $7,000 more for their home. So I guess I would put that back on you, and I would say I'm okay not doing an open house and respecting your home because it is your property, as long as you're okay with maybe leaving some money on the table. And then, of course, they don't want to leave money on the table, so that's how I would present that. And by the way, you bring up a good point, which it wasn't in my notes here, but when you're on a listing presentation, this is separate from open house things, but just maybe think of it. Do not overly promote open houses until you get their feeling on open houses. So don't go rock star into an open house, into a listing appointment talking about how much success you have with open houses and how it's your bread and butter of buyer clients and how awesome they are, and then they say to you, well, that's not going to work because we hate open houses, we had a bad experience. Well, how do I know that? You just ask them. So if you don't mind me asking, point 16 on our plan of action talks about open houses. Before I get into that, what's your feeling on open houses? And I just shut up and listen to what they say. Well, we kind of hear that they're a good idea right now. You're right, they are. Or we hear, nope, they're terrible, it's just tire kickers. Absolutely, you're right, they are. I want to match and mirror that, because if they don't want an open house, and I'm sitting here doing my song and dance about open houses, they could be turned off and not hire me because of it. And by the way, I've gained listings and lost listings because I either promoted the fact that open houses were great and they didn't want one, or I didn't talk about open houses enough and they went with an agent that swears by them. So I always ask the question, if you don't mind, before I share with you point number 16, we'll talk about it for a moment. What are your feelings on open houses? Okay. Any other questions based on anything that we've talked about today? Yes.
So when you talked about you have multiple people in there.
Multiple agents?
No, multiple
consumers.
Consumers coming through. Do you follow one of them? Do you have a strategic location you stay, and how do you check for motivation?
Yeah, so basically what I try to do at that point when I have multiples is if they all kind of came in around the same time, okay, let's pretend that they did, then I'm having somewhat of a group conversation in the kitchen, making sure that they all sign in one by one, that same script that I talked about, and I'll say, you know what, you guys are free to roam through the house, I'm here if you have any questions. And then sometimes they'll follow each other, but most times one goes upstairs, the other will go downstairs. Right, one will go in the backyard, right, they'll kind of disperse. The goal is for them to not end up back in the kitchen at the same time. Because if they end up back in the kitchen at the same time, I don't want to have a group conversation for closing. I want to have a one-on-one conversation at that point in time. So I'll just, what I'll do as they're going through, I'll follow the group upstairs, maybe have a little bit of conversation with them about how long they've been looking, some of those questions we talked about, and then I'll say, okay, take your time, guys, and I'll go back downstairs, I'll try to connect with the other ones, and I'll really just try to connect with one or two of the groups and see who makes most sense for me to pay the most amount of attention to. And you'll know, cause some of them will be very standoffish, some will be more open and sharing, but it is a little tougher. You know, I prefer, I hate to say it, but I like an open house that has 6 to 10 groups through, no more. Because I know I can give everyone pretty good attention, and I'm probably converting 1 or 2 future sales out of that open house. When I got 20 or 25, same thing, 1 or 2 sales, but it's chaotic, and I didn't get rapport with everyone, and so, you know, it's not always gonna work out perfectly, depending on how many people you have in. Which is a lot of times why agents will bring 2 with them, right? Or an agent will bring a lender with them, and the lender will help them orchestrate. Okay. All right, so we went a little bit over on time, so we're gonna wrap it up there. Don't forget the June 4th event at the DAC. You can get registered at that by just going to Glover U and clicking on events. It's like $15. That's a half-day session, and then of course the July Live Unreal Retreat. Hopefully you guys can all make it, and let's make it an awesome day. See you guys.
Thank
Yep.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.